Say aye.
Pardon me?
Aye.
Yeah.
Just say
I would like to support a yes vote on this. It funds priorities submitted.
yeah. Just say aye.
Okay, just
Great.
aye.
There's been good bipartisan cooperation and a string of
Wait a minute. Are you good, Mitch?
Okay, Mitch.
I teared up when I watched that. Voters in polling are already concerned about President Biden's fitness for office at age 80, 81 this November, after a series of stumbles, falls, and frequent verbal gaffes.
What's going on, everyone? Starks getting here today. I want to give my thoughts about an age limit based term limit. Sorry, I don't know how to phrase that. Age limit to serve, because obviously we know, if you're following politics, an aging Congress meet 19 lawmakers who are at least 80 years old. There's been recent health scares. I showed you a couple clips in the beginning as the intro. I believe the Democrat in that video, which was, I forgot her name, Dana Frankenstein. I butchered it. I don't remember off the top of my head. But she's the oldest congressperson serving right now at 90 years old. Yes, you heard that right. 90 years old. To me, there's no reason for someone over the age of retirement to be serving in office. Like, to me, like, I see serving in a civic capacity as the same way as someone going into the military to serve the country. Because that's effectively what you're doing. You're serving the country in a different capacity. And you want people who are closely aged to the people that's currently going to suffer the long-term ramifications of the policies being made today. Because my argument for an age-based term limit, right, is that the average age of retirement is about 65. Some people earlier than that. Some people older than that. And I think that's a good measuring stick. Maybe we put a circumstance where, hey, if you're a congressman over the age of 65, you need to do a mental test to pass to go into office, or maybe we just make it a blank statement. Say, hey, it doesn't matter your age, you get a mental test, just the same way we test our military people before they can serve the country in a physical capacity. I think our politicians need to have a similar kind of mental test to make sure they can serve the country in a mental capacity, right? And recent health scares among members of Congress have raised questions of how old is too old for politicians. To me, politicians should be representative of their people. And if you're not working in an economy and you're making decisions, right? If you're a retired baby boomer, right? Most of the time, you guys are in the age of retirement. You're gonna vote in people because you still guys have a good sizable influence over the country. You're gonna vote in people who are not, I'll say, from a human point of view, there's a conflict of interest that they don't care about the long-term ramifications of the decisions they're making right now, right? You can jack up inflation to give free handouts to people of the country because you won't live long enough to suffer or see the long-term ramifications of those actions. And I think it's unfair to the younger generation that a lot of the Congress people are holding on to these positions of power and they don't want to pass the torch. And I think that's what's been very devastating in our politics, is the fact that it seems like in politics, there's no uprising star. It's like they have to make themselves, right? And there's no apprenticeship. Like, oh, like, I'm gonna take you under my wing, show you the ropes. I mean, there probably is that in politics, but it seems like these people are so greedy. Like, imagine that you in no capacity to pass. You resting on past accomplishments to justify you still being in office. 90 years old. You're supposed to be retired by then. These people, you make decent money to not need to keep working. At this point, it's just hey, I just want to be in power, right? I'll continue with the article because I think I've been rambling a little bit much. While there's no age limit for those who serve in the legislative branch, members from both parties, several of whom have made a career out of serving in Congress. To me, this shouldn't be a career thing. This should be like just like people are not enthusiastic to serve the military and be lifers. there needs to be like jury duty. Jury duty is a perfect example of serving the country, right? A lot of people don't like jury duty. I feel like Congress should be more like that. Like, it shouldn't be comfortable for you to be there. Like, if you're gonna serve in Congress, you gotta know, damn, I gotta work for the American people. I gotta work for the American people. Just like when I go to corporate America and I work my butt off at my job and make sure that I meet deadlines and I put out work, there needs to be a similar pressure in Congress. But the bad part about Congress is these people can write their own rules, right? Give themselves pay raises. Imagine if we had jobs like that where you can vote and give your own, force the corporation to give you a pay raise. Imagine that. You can't do that. So I think it's a two-pronged problem that I don't have the answers to, but it's just something I want to raise, that, hey, you think an age-based term limit is a more viable option? Because I heard people say, oh, let's do an arbitrary number. Hey, just like the president only can serve 8 years, people in the legislator and the legislative branch should only serve 8 years. Problem I have with that is that, what if you have a good politician that you want to keep that seat? Now at 8 years you have to let them go. Like, that's kind of the things I struggle with. Like, damn, if we have an 8 years, let's say Ron Paul, for instance. Imagine Rand Paul can only be in the Senate for 8 years. You're gonna be like, damn, Rand Paul was a great representative of my district. I don't want a great representative of my state. I don't want to lose him. I don't want only 8 years of Rand Paul. Age limit, though, based on age limit, you can have him a little bit longer than 8 years. Yes, granted, at 65, it depends. There's a lot of room for this discussion, but in my view, I believe, hey, at 65, you got to get a mental test, and if you don't pass that mental test, you can't run. Like that should be like something simple. That's like the middle ground. Now, hard line is, hey, once you hit 65, hey, you can't run for office anymore, because we have age limits based on who could run for Congress. You have to be at least 25 years old to run for Congress, if I remember correctly. You got to be at least 35, you have to be at least 30 years old to run for Senate, and you have to be at least 35 years old to run for president. So I'm saying we already use age-based limits to keep certain people from going into certain positions in government. There should be the opposite should also apply. That there should be a limit to how old someone can serve in that capacity, because at this point it's getting scary. Right, like look at this clip from Joe Biden.
And Aqua and as well as Shram. Let me start off with 2 words: made in America. Made in America.
Now, for politics, people may pick on them, but in some corners, you could even say it's elder abuse at this point to keep some people in the public eye.
Yeah, man, like these people, like, this is the same thing that happened with Franklin D. Roosevelt, right? People, George Washington started that tradition. Hey, after 2 terms, you get off, right? And Roosevelt, the Franklin D. FDR, abused that, and he ran, I don't know how many times, 3 times, maybe 3 times, I believe. Maybe someone can correct me if I'm wrong, right? And people are like, nah, we got to put this into law, because someone else might take advantage of the fact that it's not in law. So technically, legally, they can run again for a 3rd term. I think we need to do the same thing for the legislative branch, right? Because people trusting these politicians to step down from power willingly, it seems like it's too hard for them to do it. They're out here spacing out in the middle of an interview, forget the norms in the legislative branch. Like, it's getting ridiculous, right? And I think, yeah, the term limit discussion, I think it needs to be, like, we need to air it out as voters, because at the end of the day, you can't really expect politicians to want to constrain their own power. I think this is a discussion voters have to decide for themselves. The average age of House of Representatives is 57 years old, while the average age in the Senate is 64 years old. So a lot of people in the Senate, by my standards, should be heading for retirement, right? But, there's a lot of conflicts of it. Like, who decided? But in a public capacity, this is craziness. Of the 435 current House lawmakers, 15 are 80 years or older. So it's not even the majority, right? But I think these people should be like, yo, we should just start already, lifting up the next generation. In my head, I keep thinking about, yo, these people need to pass the torch. That's how I kept thinking about, right? Those serving in the Senate are who are 80 years old. In order is California Democrat Dana Feinstein. 90 years old, which is the lady you saw in the beginning. Like, I was like, yo, this is, I would abuse. Oh my God. This should be considered elderly abuse, bro. But how hungry you are for power that you'll force these people to still sit, like, how power hungry have you want to be? Like, it's baffling to me, right? Bernie Sanders is 89 years old, right? Mitch McConnell's 81 years old. Oh, sorry, I misspoke. Bernie's 81 years old and Mitch McConnell is 81 years old, right? Like, I don't know, man. I think there's a big conflict of interest because these older people who are leaders in committees, they pull rank on the younger folks. They're not going to suffer long-term ramifications for things they approve and don't disapprove. We saw with Mitch McConnell in the 2022 midterm elections. He had a big influence on why a lot of Republicans didn't win in Arizona and other states because he withdrew funding. He was like, "Oh no, these people are mega people. I don't support them." And his voice carried a lot of weight in the committees, and the RNC didn't give the proper help to the candidates that were running because obviously there was infighting going on between Trump and Mitch McConnell, right? And this is some of the concerns I have is that these older, higher ranked, influential House lawmakers and congressmen, they're not incentivized to look out for the long-term future of America. They're only looking at, hey, what's beneficial for us right now? What's beneficial for me to keep my power? Do I need to lie and say I'm with Trump to keep my power? I'll do that, Lizzie Graham. Right? And this is some of the concerns I just see. Like, hey, you guys, let me know your thoughts. You know, I kind of was just speaking out, like thinking out loud. But I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section. What you guys think? What parameters would you want to put for a term limit on Congress? Let me hear your thoughts in the comment section. I would be willing to I would love to hear them. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. And I appreciate you guys for watching to the end of the video. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.